Good morning, everyone. Mr. Mann here. Welcome to my next assembly on You Are Awesome. But before I start, I just thought it's worth just saying, giving you some reassurance really, that this week there's been a lot of stuff in the news about schools coming back and phase returns and what it might look like. People being quite obviously quite concerned about that. Can I just reassure you that we're looking into this really, really carefully? And of course, we want you back as soon as possible, but it's got to be done in a really, really safe way. So we're going to take a little bit of time over it. But over the next few weeks, and especially after half term, we've got some exciting things coming up, and we're going to try and see if we can get in contact with you all and check on your well-being, check how things are going on with your learning. And hopefully giving you some further reassurance that you're not forgotten and we're constantly thinking about you. So I'll stop there and then we'll move on to what today's assembly is all about. So last week we focused on looking at what are the obstacles to our success, and as you can see on the slide there, we sort of went through 5 different reasons why we kind of don't try things or tackle things because of these obstacles. And the assembly sort of developed into ways in which you can try and overcome these obstacles, and in particular having what we call this growth mindset, this determination, this inner voice that tells us that we can do something, we can have a go. There's no failure in trying and giving it your best. And today we're going to develop that a little bit further, and how this growth mindset, along with this amazing thing called our brain, can transform us into being really, really awesome people. So here it is, a slice through our brain, a quite amazing, amazing piece of our body. There's quite a few facts about brain that you might not know about. For example, your brain is more than 70% water, so being dehydrated really affects your concentration and memory. So remember, get some water and drink regularly. Your brain also has about 100 billion neurons. That's all the little connections that allow our brain to function. There's also around 100,000 miles of blood vessels in your brain, and if you were to untangle them all, they'd nearly stretch nearly to halfway to the moon. And the average person has about 60,000 thoughts every day. So your brain is constantly working, so much so that it produces enough electricity to actually power a small light bulb. That's pretty incredible if you think about it. But there's something even more amazing and staggering, and dare I say, sort of world changing about our brain, is the fact that you can train your brain, sort of take it to the gym if you like, make it stronger and grow its capacity for learning new things. Just like our body, we would go and do exercise and go to the gym and ride our bike or go for a run or do some sort of physical exercise. Our bodies are fully adaptable, and the same has been found for our brain. Because day after day, the brain has to work really hard. It's kind of that mission control, from blinking to breathing to walking to talking. Your brain might power down a bit at night, but even in sleep, its model is processing information and making sense of it. So this means we can shape our brain up just like we can shape up our body. Think of it as a mental muscle. If we put the brain through a fitness program that helps to build these neural pathways, we can make it into something truly incredible. The more we push ourselves, the more connections we make in our brain, and the stronger they become. And the scientists have called this neuroplasticity. So let's test this theory about practice. Look at the table on the side there. It's your normal times tables, isn't it? But which of those can you easily remember? Which ones are the toughest that you're struggling with? And why is that? It's because the ones you remember, you've practiced over and over again. You've found it easy. You've developed those neural connections that have allowed you to remember it. And the thing is, the ones you haven't know so well is because you haven't practiced them. Those neural connections don't actually hang around if you don't keep doing them over and over again. If you don't pay the attention, they disappear. They feel they're not wanted. And another example is this. Think of going for a walk in a forest that no one has ever travelled through before. The first time you try, it'll be pretty tricky. You probably won't leave much of a trail behind you, and the plants will eventually grow back. But if you keep walking through that same route day in, day out, then eventually you'll create a path. making it easier to walk through that forest next time. Neural connections are the same. So the more you practice your maths questions, the more you practice your times tables, for example, or it could be skateboarding, or it could be learning a song, or getting to level 53 on Minecraft, the stronger the connections become, making it easier the next time you try. London's black taxi cabs are famous all round the world. When you ask to be taken to an address on the other side of the capital, the driver will take you there the most efficient route without getting lost or going in the wrong direction up a one-way street. So how can they do that without looking up at a map or a sat-nav? Because to do this, they've had to earn their license to drive, and they need to pass an exam known as the knowledge. To do this, a black cab driver is expected to know about 25,000 streets in London and thousands of landmarks. He or she also has to be able to drive there from any point in the capital without making a mistake. The knowledge exam, taxi drivers are asked to describe the routes they take between any places the examiner might dream up. It's a huge mental undertaking and requires several years of study before the candidates are ready to take them. They put in tons of practice, which many hopefuls do by zipping around on the streets on a scooter or bike. Amazingly, though, brain scans have shown that those who master the massive tangle of roads actually experience structural changes in their brains. They possess more grey matter, which is where mental processing takes place, compared to when they first set out on the streets. As they begin to make sense of the ways the capital is connected, their brains build up these neural pathways to deal with the information required. Isn't that pretty incredible? But it just shows again how you can train your brain, how you can develop your brain to understand and calculate really, really complex things. So, what's the moral of this story? It's quite simple, really. The more challenging the practice, the more neural connections you build. Keep practicing. Don't put down your maths homework early if you want to be good at it. If you do, those connections might start disappearing faster than your Uncle Pete's hair, for example. You want your brilliant practice to mean something. But you don't have to start from scratch. When it comes to shaping your brain to become awesome at stuff, just remember that you've already begun. Making everyday tasks then harder is a great way of training your brain. Don't be afraid to be curious. Try new things and never allow mistakes to put you off. Mistakes can actually help to grow your brain. This is the growth mindset, isn't it? So, can you think of ways that you can make your skate practice or your maths homework or your dance rehearsal just that little bit trickier to push yourself further? That's the end of this week's assembly. Next week, we'll talk about what practice makes making you perfect or awesome. Until then, have a safe week, keep well, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye now.